Shining bright lotus. Welcome everyone, Ekai Joel Kreisberg here again to talk to you about Mondo Zen Facilitation. And today I am pleased to have my co-teacher, Emyo Darlene Tataryn, to talk about it. Welcome, Emyo.
Hello. Thank you for having me. This is exciting. This is a great topic.
Yes. Thank you. Well, we are teaching a class, a 4-month program starting in March called Foundations of Mondo Zen Facilitation. We both studied with Junpo Roshi, Dennis Kelly for many, many years, and we've both done a lot of Mondo Zen Facilitation and taught it. And so we figured today we're going to share with you a little bit about what's important about how we learn to do it. Yeah, how we learn to do it. So let's just start with that question. I'm going to pass to Emyo. Like, when you're learning Mondo, let's make kind of a list and discuss what's really important for a learner.
Well, it's highly individual across people. Different things bring individuals into these kinds of practices. But I think fundamentally there has to be a question. There has to be, even if it's not formed as a question, but, I'm calling a question the search for something, whether it's meaning, whether, whatever it might be, there's something asking, there's something looking, something that's driving this, and we can make it as simple as saying it's the first noble truth that is driving everybody, conscious of it, not conscious of it, and I believe that's what brings people to programs such as this one, to make things a little more satisfactory.
Well, so what I hear in that is it's a very, I appreciate where that's starting from there. What I hear in that is the sort of curiosity and the desire to want to deepen yours, ours, deepen one's relationship with the Dharma, we would say, right, in a Buddhist concept. But, for an individual, it's like seeking some sort of deeper understanding of how to live in this world in a healthier and wiser way.
Exactly. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And so that's that's a quality that the learner has, but I guess I would say that would also be a quality that the teachers would have, because the first thing you said was how individual it is. It's like we're always curious and learning about how best to serve the individuals who are studying and learning this stuff.
Absolutely. And I've got a whole lot more to say about what's important for the learner.
Well, no, please, we're not done. That was the first point. So what else?
Oh, okay.
We're not done with it. We're not done
right.
with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So, you're familiar with an integral model. Many people are not. You don't have to be to follow this, but when I put my attention on this question, what's important for learning, it's actually going through the whole process. Through the subjective experience, like I said, the subjective experience of being curious, asking a question, wanting to know, wanting to understand, and the beauty of this program, the beauty of this teaching, is that that has to be embodied in a way. We literally have to bring ourselves to engage, right? To engage, and we need to be able to not only know that there is a calling or a need, but we need to recognize that this is something that is needs to be also resonant, because our struggles are not out there. We might think they're with, but our struggles are embodied with our embodied experience and our reactions to them. And so Mondo Zen, the learning, comes in the dialogue, in the relational part of this teaching, one-on-one, teacher and practitioner, or person to person, right? In dialogue, finding the path, basically, where there is the immediacy of recognition and understanding between people. And then the part that some people are much more involved in, or not, is the actual structuring. And the structure literally is, Mondo Zen, the insight koans, and the other koans, all 13 koans. We've got this structure, and people are able to beautifully follow this structure and be literally led, like signposts down a path, Okay.
Well, no, it's good. You got a couple ideas there, and I want to keep unpacking it because you mentioned integral theory. We usually refer to Ken Wilber's integral theory, and then you sort of demonstrated kind of like, well, we're going to use just all the, embodied is that subjective experience. That's the content, which really is an objective in the sense that it is a Dharma teaching that's somebody created. And then there's this relational piece that is one-on-one, which, in our program is done through different structured, through class design where you end up in partners and triads. You're working in a small group with a mentor. You're all, as a student, going out and having to do it with someone else outside the program and being able to bring that back in. And then the last thing you said was there's a structure to, or a form to actual Mondo Zen with the way the koans, which is, you covered the 4 quadrants there of integral theory. So embodied means there's moving through these different perspectives over and over so that we can all get familiar with a lot of, but the learning environment is aware of all these different pieces.
That's right.
And asking you to reflect on all these pieces. That's what embodied actually is pointing at. That's what I hear in the word embodied.
Yeah, direct experience, and in fact that there are a few koans that point to embodied experience. What is this like, physically, emotionally, etc. So we'll save that one for later. For the program. But
so that was so we have this on the one hand, really briefly, it's like there's an attitude of curiosity and openness, which was sort of your first response, and second response is there's a willingness to embody, which is to recognize a broad field of understanding and experience that goes along with really learning something effectively, right? And because we're both teachers in that way. So it's our opportunity. Is anything else that, for good learning? And it doesn't have to be. It's just a check.
Well, off the top, no, because there are so many things. I mean, the key thing is, the intention, I guess, really.
right, right. Well,
It's
this
for
is
people to
perfect.
know why they're doing it.
Yeah, yeah. So I as I asked it, I'm going to answer it myself. So,
Okay, great.
which is to have a really well constructed learning environment. So this is, it's the other end, which is, we can create learning and structures, learning environments that optimize the learning experience. So I was just realizing that 4 months allows me to do a 108-day program as part of the 4 months. And so if, the idea of a 108-day program is to have a clear intention. So a clear intention is for the next 108 days, I am going to more deeply and better understand Mondo Zen Facilitation. That's could be a simple goal. So
Right.
each day I'm remind myself of that goal. Right. Another structure in the learning environment, which is something that's very distinctly different than the way you do Mondo in a very tight form and 2, 3, 4 sessions. It's you move through koans very quickly. Is to spend a whole week with each koan in your meditation practice. Right, and have that be in a group and have teachers who are doing that so that we can all say, okay, now that we've spent a whole week with what is this, what are you like, what are we like at this depth of awareness, we've all really spent the time.
Right. Exactly. And when you're talking about triads, or there's an incredible amount of learning that takes place between practitioners as each person brings forward something that somebody else just hasn't experienced and translated the same way, and it becomes really rich sharing. I know in my own small groups I'm still really closely connected to some of those folks right, because of the depth of exchange and questioning and sharing our own experience. It's beautiful.
That's good. That's good. Right. And so that allows us to do one more turn of this question because it's probably all we're going to have time to do in this particular video. We can always make another one, which is because Mondo Zen Facilitation lands squarely in emotional work, right? Emotional koans. What as a learner, what do I have to bring to that learning environment?
Well, that takes us back to intention, curiosity, and a willingness, actually, a willingness to, well, we can say look in the mirror, but whether we like what we see or don't like what we see, and how to work with emotional experience within our own intrapsychic environment and our interpersonal environment. So, there needs to be a willingness to be open, to receive what's being given, and find one's way with it, one's own way with it, right? Yeah.
Yeah, the word that's coming up for me, which is the word that Jimpo liked to use, was vulnerable. Vulnerable, be vulnerable,
Yeah.
right? Honest, open, honest, and vulnerable. That's the language that is from the Mondo Manual. We already talked about curiosity, right? But the other side of that is compassionate, right? Like part of that open, honest, and vulnerable, part of working with this whole world of emotions of our own and of others is being compassionate and learning about compassion through that vulnerability.
And well, I just have to say that the facilitators thus far that I know bring an incredible capacity for holding space for the student, participant, learner, holding space in a compassionate way. And also, because Mondo is not therapy, and yet it's dealing with emotional experience, a person does not have to disclose all kinds of information. We're not working through certain content. We're learning a structure of how to do this. So instead of all of the details, it's no, how do we move down this path through the thicket and the thorn bush, right? Like, how can we do this? And so I love this about Mondo because it just can cut through all of this, all of these complexities that can arise when having to work deeply in shadow work or any of these things. And it teaches us how to do this, how. And then we can go more and more deeply into that work as we are inclined, right? But yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's exciting just thinking about it, and warming ourselves up. So I think we're going to wrap, and so this is in preparation of a program called Foundations of Mondo Zen Facilitation. We are co-teaching it as well. We have a group of mentors who are, as you just heard, are very compassionate and have been at it for some of them for 15 years, who work directly with the students. And if you'd like to know more, I'm sure if you're watching this, there's a link somewhere there that'll take you to the Shining Bright Lotus website where you can find out more. And so, Emyo, thank you, and I look forward to continuing the discussion.
Thank you.
Shining Bright Lotus.